Here's a live look outside the Lauderdale County Courthouse right now. Each cross you see represents a homicide victim. It's National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and in Alabama, the Attorney General is fighting to toughen penalties on criminals. Today, Steve Marshall introduced sweeping new legislation to fix the parole board's broken system.
And he admits the paroles are because of our investigation after police arrested a parolee for killing 3 people. The new bills would change how parole board members are appointed, who can come up for parole, and strengthen victim notification.
WAAY 31's Brecken Terry spent months filing open records requests and uncovering flaws in the system.
And she spent the day sifting through the legislation as soon as it was released. She joins us live in Florence after learning what this means for victims' families. Brecken.
I sat down exclusively with the Attorney General and a former parole board member about these changes.
This bill is designed to remind those 3 individuals that will serve on the board that their paramount concern needs to be the public safety.
A new bill introduced Wednesday morning will give the governor more power over the pardon and parole board and who's appointed.
Right now, that is an agency in which they are accountable to no one. We believe that I'll be accountable to the governor and the people of this state.
Earlier this year, Governor Kay Ivey tasked former parole board member Bobby Longshore to act as her eyes and ears at the board. He believes the new bills could be a game changer.
The amendments to the organizational structure are fairly dramatic.
This new legislation creates a position called the Director of Pardons and Paroles. The position would report directly to the governor about the parole board's actions. Longshore thinks it's a good idea because it makes the 3 board members focus solely on cases.
Everything else, such as the running of this multi-million-dollar organization called the Board of Pardons and Paroles, is taken off their plate and is dealt with strictly in an administrative capacity.
So that they can focus.
They can focus on exactly what that job is.
This bill basically stops early parole hearings and says if an inmate is serving back-to-back sentences, they will have to be paroled on 1 sentence at a time, which means it would take them a long time to get out of prison. Longshore says this will affect the entire criminal justice system.
So judges will have to determine, do I really mean for this person to die in prison?
These changes will strengthen victim notification, too. The Pardon and Parole Board will now have to show proof it did everything possible to reach a victim's family and tell them about a parole hearing.
This statute requires that they have a due diligence certification, that they have had a due diligence to find these people.
Now, this legislation also says that the Alabama Pardon and Paroles Board cannot make up their own rules or policies without consent from the state. Marshall tells me he believes that this legislation will be passed swiftly. Live in Florence, Brecken Terry, WAAY 31 News.